Welcome back to Master 79. Today we are working through ielts speaking part 1 on the topic of traveling on public transport. We will brainstorm the topic together and then I will give you a full set of Band 9 model answers with the reasoning behind every single one. First, let us be clear about what part 1 actually is. It is the first 4 to 5 minutes of the test immediately after the examiner checks your identification. The questions are about familiar things, your home, your work or studies, and then 2 or 3 everyday topics like this one. You will get roughly 12 questions in total, and they are short, personal, and highly predictable. This is a warm-up, not an interrogation. 2 to 4 sentences per answer is exactly right. Here is our topic card, traveling on public transport, with 4 questions. Do you often travel on public transport? Did you use public transport when you were a child? Do many people use public transport in your country? And will you use public transport more in the future? Notice the shape of that set. Present habit, then past, then general, then future. Part 1 topics almost always move through time like this, and each question is quietly testing a different tense. Every strong Part 1 answer has the same 3 moves. Answer, reason, extend. First, commit within your first 3 words. Yes, almost daily. Do not make the examiner wait for your position. Second, give the reason, because that is where why or why not is actually answered, and it is where your grammar gets a chance to show itself. Third, extend with one detail, a contrast, an example, an exception, a memory. 1. Then stop talking. Answer, reason, extend. Now let us brainstorm before we speak. On the left, ideas. For question 1, frequency. Daily, I do not drive the metro against the traffic, and I avoid it late at night. For question 2, childhood. No family car until I was 12. The bus everywhere, the front seat on the upper deck. For question 3, the country. Split the answer. Cities yes, countryside no. For question 4, the future. A new metro line next year, a shorter commute, and my carbon footprint. On the right, the language I want to reach for. Frequency adverbs, used to for past habit, hedging phrases, and a mix of future forms. 20 seconds of this before you speak changes everything. Question 1. Do you often travel on public transport? Yes, almost daily. I do not drive, so the metro is my default way of getting around. It is cheap, and at rush hour it is genuinely faster than sitting in traffic. The only time I avoid it is late at night, when the services get few and far between. Look at why that works. It commits in 2 words, then gives a real reason. I do not drive. Then it makes a comparison rather than a flat statement. And that exception at the end shows range without any padding at all. Question 2. Did you use public transport when you were a child? All the time, yes. My parents did not have a car until I was about 12, so we went everywhere by bus. I actually have quite fond memories of it. I used to fight for the front seat on the upper deck so I could pretend I was driving. The question is in the past tense, so the answer is 2. Weak candidates slip into the present here constantly, and it costs them. Notice used to for a repeated past habit sitting alongside the past simple. And notice the small personal image at the end. Examiners remember candidates who sound like people. Question 3. Do many people use public transport in your country? In the big cities, definitely. The networks are extensive and running a car is expensive, so most commuters would not dream of driving into the center. Out in rural areas it is a completely different story, though. Services there are patchy at best, so people are far more reliant on their own cars. That answer splits the country in two, and that contrast is coherence. It also fills the answer effortlessly, which means you never have to stall, and every claim is hedged, not absolute. In the big cities, most commuters, at best. Question 4. Will you use public transport more in the future? I would say so, yes. They are extending the metro line out to my neighborhood next year, which should cut my commute in half. And beyond the convenience, I am fairly conscious of my carbon footprint, so if the option is there, I will take it. 3 sentences, 3 different future forms. Present continuous for the arrangement, should for the prediction, and I will for the decision. That is grammatical range, and it costs you nothing to plan. The relative clause carries the consequence, and the 2 reasons are ranked. Practical first, then principled. Here is the whole exchange in one place, so you can read it as a single performance. Pause the video here and read it aloud twice. Once at your normal speed, and once slightly slower than feels comfortable, listening to where the stress falls. And here is your language bank from this topic. Get around. At rush hour. Few and far between. Fond memories of. An extensive network. Would not dream of doing something. Patchy at best. Reliant on. Cut my commute in half. And conscious of my carbon footprint. Learn these as whole phrases, not as single words, and use 2 or 3 of them, not 10. Overloading an answer with idioms sounds rehearsed, and rehearsed is the one thing you cannot afford. Before we finish, the 5 things that quietly cost people marks in part 1. 1. One-word answers. Yes, on its own, gives the examiner nothing to assess. 2. Speeches. Part 1 is not part 2. 40 seconds on a single question reads as rehearsed. 3. Memorized openers. That is a very interesting question. Examiners hear that all day, every day. 4. Ignoring the tense in the question. Did you needs past forms every single time? And 5. Stopping at I do not know. This is not a truth test. Invent something plausible and keep moving. So why is this band 9? Fluency and coherence. The speaker goes on at length with no noticeable effort, and the ideas link naturally. Lexical resource. Full flexibility and precision, with idiomatic language that arrives naturally rather than bolted on. Grammatical range and accuracy. A wide range of structures used flexibly. And pronunciation. Effortless to understand throughout. One honest caveat, and I say this on every video. Band 9 here reflects an internal quality check against the public ielts band descriptors. It is not a score awarded by a certified examiner. Here is your challenge. Record yourself answering all 4 of these questions. Time each answer. You want 15 to 25 seconds. Not 5 and not 60. Then swap the topic to cycling and build the whole thing again from scratch. That second run is where the learning actually happens. If this helps, subscribe to BMaster79 and tell me in the comments which part 1 topic you want next. Good luck with your test.